I want to welcome you to episode 30 of the New Jack Swing podcast. Wow. Last week was our 1 year anniversary, I think, but we didn't really, because we had Corel, we didn't really get a chance to really celebrate and really acknowledge that we've been doing this for exactly 1 year, 30 episodes. Any thoughts on that?
Time flies, man. It's one after another. You look up and you're at 30. It's amazing.
I think when
30 episodes, wow.
When we originally started, it was looking at maybe 1 or 2 podcasts a month, but it's like I say, we seem to be doing more or less every week now, or every other week. So, and we got built a very nice little listenership, which is absolutely superb as well. So, yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, hi Jeremy. No, we were just reflecting that we've been doing. This is exactly I think it was Thursday. That was exactly 1 year that we started, and this is our 30th episode. It is just amazing how it's been growing. So, yes.
Let's see next time. This time next year.
Let's see how it'll be this time next year. For those joining in, and I'll run the ticket afterwards. We are going to go through the future album, doing our top 10. Hey, and Mac, yes, yeah. So we're going to go through that. But as always, hey, Prayed Up, welcome. But as always, we're going to go through some quick music news, what's been happening in the news and stuff. And before we get into our list, one thing I had on my topic was yesterday was the Rico Wade, who was 1/3 of Organized Noise and the founding member of the Organized Noise, the whole Dungeon family, responsible for Outkast and Goody Mob, responsible for the whole sounds that like waterfalls. I can't remember the song by En Vogue, but yeah, very influential with LaFace in the whole Atlanta music scene. Passed away yesterday, which is sad. Condolences to him. Any other music news you guys have? Hi, Aki.
Yeah, the song you're referring to, I think it's "Don't Let Go."
Don't Let Go. Yes, you're right.
Don't Let Go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So his passing comes on the heels of DJ Mr. C. He's the guy that really introduced Notorious B.I.G. to the world. So the crazy thing is, man, these guys are leaving out of here in their 50s, man, young.
Yeah. Yeah, it is sad, and that's some of the important things about celebrating them now. So, if you guys, there's Questlove. What's the name of his past podcast? Questlove Supreme. Yeah. He interviewed Organized Noise 3 months ago when they went to Atlanta. So it's worth listening to that, and just getting the sense, the history of the 3 of those guys talk about how they came together. Last week we had Corel from Kids at Work and stuff. I posted the little clip that we had of kids to guy and stuff. And I'm glad that Teddy saw it and he appreciated the stuff and sort of reposted it on his stories. So hopefully he is warming up and forgiving and forgetting and stuff. But that was good to see. Did you guys see it that he put it up there? And he says he's come a long way.
Yeah, seen that. Nice little touch from Teddy. He's definitely ready with that one, old Teddy there.
Okay. Another thing was, hey Colin, welcome. So I did the Herb Middleton interview last week, and I wasn't. And some people have said that because especially when I went through some of the credits of his production. And I must admit, I wasn't as organized and prepared for the interview as I've done in previous times. Most of the times when I do a live interview, I've already interviewed the person before. And it's very rare that I do a halftime chat interview live because, I do a lot of preparations. I pre-record it so I can focus. And unfortunately, I didn't get it done correctly. So people who've watched the Herb Middleton interview and have said, yeah, I wasn't as organized and some of the credits and stuff, and I apologize for that. And I'll definitely work to get Herb back, and be able to get him and appreciate him and give him, touching some of the things that we didn't get to touch on in the interview. I mean, guys, any of your thoughts on
Nnamdi, don't give yourself a pat on the back. It was you went live. He's done a lot of stuff, and you got through a lot of it as well. I thought you got through a lot of it, and he was struggling to remember a lot of it as well. I mean, I think you reminded him of a lot of stuff, so it was. I enjoyed it. It was a good interview. You can always, after the fact, I didn't ask him this, I didn't ask him that,
yeah,
it's always going to be like that. But listen, you got a couple of hours time with him. I'm sure he appreciates it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just before, Connor says my screen is blurry. Are you guys seeing me correctly?
It goes in and out of being blurry.
Okay. Thanks, Eki. Is it still like that now?
But you just go in. It's not a big deal. Sometimes it goes a bit blurry sometimes, but we can see you and hear you.
Yeah, we can still see you.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, there's another one. It's Money Long, Made for Me.
Amazing record. Amazing
Money Long.
Record.
I'm wondering why it's gone so viral, because it seems like everyone's.
Have you heard it? Have you heard it? What do you mean? Why?
Yeah, I've heard the song. But I'm talking about the whole viral videos that all the celebrities.
It's not a David Foster record. This one, Nnamdi. This is like a proper contemporary, right on R&B record that does remind you of what came out in the 90s, and she's got the look as well. And I think it's reaching all those young black girls who are aspiring to be singers or fans. I can totally see why that record's took off.
Yeah, it's the viral videos I was referring to, which but as I said, I'm bringing it up just in case anyone hasn't heard it and they can mention it and stuff. Yeah, hey, Corell's in town. Hey, what's up? Vocal Charm School. So Corell is joined in. So Corell, just reflecting on your amazing guest appearance last week. Okay, and the final thing I wanted to touch on is Missy, Sierra, Busta Rhymes, and Timbaland doing a 24-city tour. That means Live Nation is handling the ticketing, so it's going to be a big tour. I am very surprised how. I don't know how big Missy is that she can get Live Nation to put up a big 24-city tour like that. So that says a lot about her status in the game when you think about where she came from. One of Devante's little group stuff, and with herself and Timbaland, Magoo, and the whole basement crew. But see how big they've become. So yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and stuff. So yeah, that's a massive stuff. Sheldon, would you be going to see that if it stops by your city?
I probably would. It's a good mix. Right now, we're starting to see everything. A lot of groups that are shifting out of the 90s, coming into the early 2000s. So that's like the next fan window. So it's a logical transition. So that's good. And I think it's a good mix with the groups, so very attractive package. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, Janet Jackson is saying, which is surprising to me, that her Together Again tour is her biggest selling tour. And I would have thought River Nation with the hype and the impact it made would have been a bigger tour. But I'm surprised that this is her biggest selling tour. And she's about to launch part 2 of it, 25 dates, 32 new dates. And Nelly's going to be opening instead of
Ludacris
last time.
Yeah. And that's smart. That's really smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was it. That was our music news. I just needed to Just need to put that out there. So, guys, we
One
are.
okay,
album go ahead, Stevie.
Check out one album that you should all maybe check out. A French producer called Damion. He's got an album out called Analog Love. It's got a few female singers on it. It's very 80s boogie inspired, very boutique, independent label. But check him out, Damion. That's my tip for a new album this week.
Yeah. Is it the one that you sent me?
Yeah. It's obviously recording analog, using all the old Moog synthesizers. There's vocoder in it. There's some great disco boogie. There's some great mid tempos on it. I'm telling you.
Apart from the fact that Stevie's one of the only people I ever heard using the word boogie in 2024.
Well, that sounds very underground circulation of records that are still coming out, new records that are made in that style that are very collectible at the moment.
Yeah, I must admit, Stevie, I wish and I'll post the video that you put. It actually is it's pretty good. He's like an updated version of Rick Ashley, kind of catchy, but I love the production. I love the whole sound.
That's Reflex.
Oh, that's Reflex. Oh, that's
Reflex
different.
as well. Check him out. Do check Reflex because they know each other as well. But anyway, in terms of this Guy album, which we're going to run down today, I'm just thinking, before we actually get into the top 10, what are your overall thoughts of this album now compared to the debut? Which do you prefer? Or you know, obviously as it's grown on you over the last 30 years or so, where's your head's at with this album right now? And I'll put that to the listeners as well. Where's your head's at with it? Because it was a vastly different album compared to the debut. I think we can all agree on that, even if we didn't realize it at the time.
Kind of mixed. You know, it was a lot of excitement waiting for that album to come out, and you know, seeing the at the time Guy was in USA Today, and that's what we first heard about. A lot of us first heard about the issues that they were having with their manager, and they were coming back with a new record. So it was very exciting for it to come out. And I remember just it being in heavy rotation. I remember playing it the New Year's Eve following. It came out like in October, New Year's Eve, man. It was just in regular rotation, man, and loved it. Going into now, fast forward, the thing that stands out for me the most is Aaron singing. Aaron, if you listen to Aaron singing on the first album to this one, he's singing like in a different tone. His tone is different. You know, it's just a different vibe in terms of how he's singing, and it's very attractive in terms of listening to him sing, because it's a next level in terms of the singing. And of course, you're getting Damion in there, so it's giving the album a different dimension. You know, going forward, like going into now, I think that one compared to the previous album, it's a little bit dated, some of the songs in terms of the technology or whatever. But when you look at the sonics are definitely on point. But I think that when you look at the album overall, it kind of slipped through the cracks because it came out in like late 90. And then, of course, we're going into 91 where we're starting to see the change of the other groups that are coming in. And those albums are not sounding like what Future was. So Future was kind of like a transitional album, I say it best. But a lot of great singing on there, great music. You know, I love the dynamic. Damion's in the mix, so it gives the album a different element. Obviously, a different change in the songwriting approach compared to what was going on in the first album, though.
What do you feel
I mean,
about
when
that?
you think about,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you think about it, no, it was actually when you think about it, so the album came out. I did my homework here in November of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
They released. They released how many? They had 6 videos that were released. 5 that were released. The album, the last single, came out January of 92. So that's I mean, that's a good year and a half of just pushing that album. You know, six videos for an album. It's really hard to see. You know, I don't think and I think that for me, the Guy album came out when I was still too young to really get into music. So when this came out, they looked like rock stars. You know, they dressed like rock stars. They didn't look like an R&B band. They looked like rock stars, the way they dressed, and Teddy with the glasses and the whole thing. But I do think that there was a lot of excitement, especially as a New Jack fan, for the album. But I think as the years have gone by, I've been able to compare it with the actual Guy album, and then you think about Jodeci and subsequent albums, and you think they could have done more. Now, of course, if we have read through things, and Aaron has said that, look, man, by the time they were halfway recording, Gene had taken, they realized they had taken all the money, and he didn't want to continue. So Teddy, because I was a little surprised that Teddy sang half the lead on half the song. So he was like, well, I just didn't really want to sing. But I was also disappointed that Damion didn't get his opportunity to shine on that album. And Damion has said when I interviewed him that he was supposed to sing Less Chill, but then not Gerald Busby, Lil Silas said, no, we want Aaron to sing because he's our bread and butter. So, and that was Damion believed that was his opportunity. So, you know, I think they missed a track where if Aaron didn't want to sing that much, they should have given Damion more to sing. So, but all in all, I listen to it and I don't get the same excitement I did when I listened to it back in 91, 90, 92. But you know, as I said, at the time it was a groundbreaking album for what it's worth. Yourself, Stevie Dan?
I mean, looking at it now, right now, it's almost like, you know, like we've got playlists on Spotify where you'll have like 20 tracks and you're going from, there might be a few, it might be the same artist or the same style of music, but there's different genres going on in there. And it's almost like, it almost is like, it sounds like a playlist now because you've got R&B in there, you've got rap tracks, you've got funk tracks, you've got some soul ballads. It's almost like a playlist 30 years, you know, ahead of its time. I'll tell you what is missing compared to the first album, and that's obviously down to Timmy Gatlin not being there, is the groove. There's a lot more grooves on the debut album. On this album, I'm thinking the grooves have been replaced by, you know, the latest swing drum sounds at the time. There is a few tracks on the album that have got a groove to them, but nothing like the debut. But it's a very different album. It's still a brilliant album for me. There is some skips on it, however, whereas the first album I don't skip anything. With this, there's a few skips, but probably because it's a longer. You know, if you bought the CD, they filled the CD, it was 80 minutes, so there's a lot more tracks and interludes to get through.
Yeah.
But I'll still put the debut over this album.
This one,
yeah.
When you look at that album, it's like you said, the image wise, it's cemented. It's really cemented their image. You see, you know, the cover, you know, with the look, and Teddy's got the Gaultier shades on, Jean Paul Gaultier shades, and you know, the whole package of how they look. Like you said, they look like superstars. And then the videos of, you know, the big budget videos, they come across extremely well. And obviously the remixes that came along with the, you know, that supported the videos, man. But I'll tell you, I just think that, you know, when you talk about the grooves that were missing from the first one, I think the album obviously was a bigger budget. So when there's a bigger budget, there's more technology, there's a lot of other things that are actually going into it. And I think the first album obviously was recorded in Teddy's house, but it was more simplistic because it was more basic in terms of, you know, the equipment they were using at the time and everything. You know, it was more simplistic. So all those grooves, you know, and I agree with you. There was components in that on that second album that it just, a lot of the funk. I think it was just like a lot of things that you both said, not to just kind of reiterate everything, and they just filled in the holes. You know, there's a lot of participation, Rex and effect, and you know, so I think it was an album. They did a good job, you know, after everything coming on the heels of what actually happened, and like Nnamdi said, you're talking about there was 6 singles that came off that album between October 1990 and going into January 1992. So if you all know, between 90 and 92, that album overlapped everything that was going on. So you're talking about, New Jack Swing is still super hot, November 90 when it comes out, but then it's also, the album is riding out in the midst of all the other newer groups that are coming out almost like 6 months later. And then hip hop, and then the album kind of like it closes out right at the dawn of hip hop soul. So the album really rolled out a lot of transitional moments, man.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think just finally, if you think of, let me show you 5 tracks that should have been on the album. Make You Sweat, Timmy wrote and did the production. When Can I See You Smile? Talk to Myself, which was talk. I Do Need You. Even I think what I can't remember what he did. He could have even had Promises that he did for Christopher Williams. So you can see the songwriting and that sort of soul of music that Timmy would have brought to that album, especially Make You Sweat. I actually think I Want to Get With You actually was trying to copy Make You Sweat, because that had a whole different vibe and stuff, and that was Timmy that wrote and brought that vibe to Keith, and should have been on that should have been a guy track.
I mean, Promises by Christopher Williams, that's a great track. We can skip Talk to Myself though. We can skip that's very, it's like that's like a pound shot version of My Prerogative, that, but that's great.
But if Aaron had done it, but Teddy would have co-produced it. So there's a whole, but you are getting the sort of vibe elements of it. But
this album though had some. The remixes were. I know we're not doing the remixes of this, but all the 6 remixes on this album were incredible. They literally took it to a new level. The remixes.
Yeah, with remixes, yeah. And it's funny because Colin mentioned that Gotta Be a Leader was making fun, and Basic Black's album to me was much better than this. Much better. I mean, that Basic Black's album was a New Jack's album. Apart from You Played Yourself, what was it called? The last track. Apart from that, it's Stupid, yeah. Apart from Stupid, the other 9 songs. I mean, So it is, yeah. But anyway, let's get into it. We've got a lot of people in here. We've got some good tracks. It'll be interesting to see, because I can imagine that everyone here is going to have a different top 10 of this album compared to myself, Stevie, and
we always
Sheldon.
get a different top 10 from the 3 of us. We always get vastly varying opinions on our top 10. I'm sure this week could be no different, but we shall see. I think what is good though, and different from the first, is the actual booklet. We actually get a full booklet of credits, lyrics, photographs that we didn't get with the first one. So
is that an album?
We definitely got right.
Is that an album?
Yeah, I've got that booklet. Yeah.
I mean,
and the reason was because
fantastic.
The reason was because Gene did not want to put anyone's credits. He wanted to keep everything to himself. So that was definitely. You should check out Timmy Gatling's. What did he say? This is what Corell is saying. You should check out Timmy Gatling's song "Sweat Drops."
Oh yeah, that's on his solo album.
Yeah, it's a good track. That's the Sweat Drops.
Yeah, so as I said, I need Timmy. He was the soul of it. He kept everyone interested. Check. Anyway, let's start with our number top 10. I can start. My number 10, and it's strange enough because I think Colin said he didn't like the song. When I was looking through, and I thought there's a track, when I listened to it at the time, I enjoyed it, but I didn't understand what it was about. And when I listen to it now, And especially after doing almost 200 interviews, it's like, wow, they were explaining the whole business, and that's Total Control. I love the story that I was telling. As I said, back then I didn't understand anything, so I'm listening to that. I'm like, okay, is he telling a story about some young guy looking, and his dad didn't support him in the music industry? I had no idea it was Gene Griffin ripping him off, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get you this, and it gives you a 40-page contract, but they only give you 4 pages, so 10 are missing, and that's what he literally was doing. So it was like, wow. So to me, Total Control, and especially there's a whole key, the piano, funky. It actually reminded me of a little bit of when they did New Jack City, that type of vibe. So I really did like it. I mean, it's strange because it was not a guy song, but it was on the album. It shouldn't be on the album because you shouldn't have all this rap stuff on the album. But it being on the album, it was my number 10.
Could have been left off for me.
Thoughts on
the album could have been left off.
Yeah, it could have been. It should have been. But
it's
looking
like
to it
talking
now,
about the whole mess of the contracts, and I'm thinking, do we need to hear that? Did we really need to hear?
What people are listening to, hearing about contracts and stuff, it still doesn't make it. They're still falling into the victim. But that, Aaron didn't want to. He wanted to quit because of the whole contract. They were telling everyone, we got messed up. We trusted this guy. But as I said, it was a good song. But it's the strange one, as it says, not a real guy's track, but it was on the album. Yeah. Stevie, what's your number 10?
I can't. I've got 2 here that are stuck, and I can't decide which one. And they were both, there was 3 bonus tracks on the CD. They didn't actually. If you bought the album first, the LP vinyl, which I did, you didn't get these 3 bonus tracks. So I was very happy when eventually, because I didn't buy the CD straight off. I just bought the vinyl album. So when I first heard these 3 bonus tracks, I was like, yeah. Nice. Well, one of them was an interlude. Then you got a cover version, which I've tied, cover version of Gap Band's "Yearning for Your Love." So any questions about him being influenced by the Gap Band were answered by one of Gap Band's best tracks. And I've tied that with "Smile." I can't, again, which is a nice mid-tempo. I can't separate them both.
Just tie. Why are you guys tired? Just take one.
But what I will say is that even though it's a good cover version, and I know what you're saying about Aaron's vocals, but Aaron's vocals on this don't come anywhere near Charlie's on the original. So I'll go with "Smile" then at number 10, because at least it's an original song. It's a nice mid-tempo. Okay. But I did like "Yearning for Your Love," and I was like, I can't leave one out of this top 10. So that's my start anyway. That's my start, Mr. Sheldon.
Okay, my number 10 is going to be "Yearning for Your Love." Obviously, when I bought the CD back then, it was really exciting to hear it. Like, wow, it just like you just said, it closed the door on that. So the similarities between the 2 groups were basically solidified, man. And yeah. And in terms of the vocals, yeah, you're right. And here's when you're, again, like I said earlier with this album, Aaron's tone and his enunciation and everything, his pitch, everything is different from the first album. Because remember, he's riding grooves. He's doing a lot of runs on the first album. Where here, you hear him doing a lot of different variations of singing. So, and you hear it in "Yearning for Your Love." So you're right. You don't hear the same pitch and tone that Charlie has, but you definitely hear those similarities or whatever. But yeah, "Yearning for Your Love" is my number 10.
It's still it is a good, strong cover. It is a strong cover.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's at my number 10 there.
So that's my number 11. It just lost out to Total Control because I felt it used to put me to sleep. It was like it wasn't as when I listened to her the original. I'm like, wow, this is
what that put you to sleep. You know what? I'd hate to hear your David Foster top 10. If "Yearning for Your Love" is putting you to sleep, my God,
you see what he just said?
Your David Foster top 10. That's all I'm going to say.
Have you seen what Colero just said? He just sent it to 10. So we have to be careful as we talk.
No, we don't. We're allowed our opinion. It's only an opinion at the end of the day.
No, okay. So my number 9 is a song that I would think I like 90% of the track. And I think this is a track that Aaron wrote, and that's Tease Me Tonight. The last minute of the track, I just thought, okay, you can cut that out. But it was definitely, I just love I love the whole build up, and I love the whole vibe. It's similarity to some of the things that how he sang "Piece of My Love." But as I said, yeah, that was my number 9. I just loved it. I think they could have just cut. I don't know why they put that last part of it. I think intro didn't come inside, but I just didn't think it fit on the album. And but yeah, but that was my number 9.
My number.
Oh, sorry.
Whose turn is it? Mine?
No, it's Stevie.
Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Stevie. Yeah.
My number 9. My number 9 is "Tease Me Tonight."
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I think the reason for that ending, the old, let's not hide it. It was a bit of an orgasm going on there. You got to remember our ages back then. We was all in our early 20s, late teens, early 20s. It was that discovery period. You're checking out. You go to clubs, checking out girls. You're getting it on. You're full of, testosterone. So I can understand that minute of, what was there. I mean, now you think we're a bit older now. Kids, turn it down quickly. Turn that down. We don't want to hear it. But it was pre-R. Kelly as well. Pre-R. Kelly, Your Body's Calling. Well, we've got Tease Me Tonight here. Aaron's, again, he was ahead of his time here. So if Jackie McGee's watching, she's probably cursing Aaron for Tease Me Tonight now. She's at the moment going, this younger generation, they're all wicked, inspired by the devil. We started it. Well, you did start it, and it started probably with Tease Me Tonight. So that's my number 9.
Yeah, okay. Sheldon, what makes your number 9?
My number 9 is going to be Long Gone.
Ooh.
Long Gone. Again, I remember the album and the Total Control, and I picked up on everything, the whole storyline and what was actually going on the management side, and of course, the Long Gone. We knew some of the things that actually happened. Obviously, some of the people Teddy's referring to, the situation that happened in Pittsburgh on the Budweiser Superfest tour. Markel's passing and all of that stuff going on. So,
No, Markel, big Ant B.
No. What I'm saying is that in addition to that, not Markel, but not Markel. What's it? Brandon B-Dogs. Brandon.
It's Anthony B.
Brandon.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah.
Brandon. So all of those tragedies, in addition to whatever else they had going on, man, was, when I look back at that now, to be. And looking at Teddy's age, he's like 23 years old, maybe 24. And to deal with that many tragedies in a short period of time, and it's just really, that's a lot to deal with. So the song really resonates with me in terms of how the song is put together, lyrically. And then one thing I love about it is when it gets to the bridge, and then you hear Aaron doing the whole gospel runs or whatever, man. Oh wow, it's just great, man. It's great, So, and then you hear him. I think that's the song for me where he does his best singing on that album. I mean, everybody talks about the whole gospel runs and the whole thing and the whole Charlie Wilson thing, but for me, man, that Long Gone is probably Aaron's best vocal performance on that album, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was good.
The album, didn't it?
We want to welcome.
It's the last track on the album, and
it's the last track.
You've got to be in a certain, because of obviously what it's talking about. It's a big tribute. You got to be in a certain mood to listen to it. It's not something I play a lot, but it's a beautiful tribute.
Yeah. For anyone just joining us, we want to welcome you guys. there's a lot of you that have just been joining in, so we want to welcome you guys. We're going through the Future album, doing our top 10 out of the 16 tracks, and those are on it. So yeah, just keep putting your top 10 as well, so we can see how you're rating it and stuff. But we're number 8 now. I Want to Get With You. You know, it was as I said, when at first, you know, as I said back then, I enjoyed it, loved it. But when I listened to Make You Sweat, and I thought the direction had changed, and that was the first thing that they came out with, and I thought, wow, where's the funkiness and stuff like that. So it was a nice track, and you listen to it and stuff like that. And maybe, and I think some of the tracks might have been very different if maybe Aaron sang the lead. I do wonder how much different that would have been if Aaron had sang the lead in Damion. So I wanted to see a little bit more variety. So that was some of my disappointments with some of the with that. It's like because when Aaron comes in, it's like, wow, it takes it to another level. And I was like, well, what about what Damion would have done and stuff? So yes, but that Want to Get With You is my number 8.
Got a super chat there. Do you want to put that super chat up, Nnamdi?
Yeah, it says, hope some prerogative demo gets found. Now, I would say this that Timmy mentioned that Teddy had played the demo of My Prerogative when they were doing the Guy album, but when they finished it, that's when he brought it over to Bobby. Now they didn't really, you know, so they were working on it before Timmy left, because Aaron co-wrote it alongside and on that. So I don't know if I don't even know if he has any of those demos, but it'll be interesting to see if they did have a demo of that. But anyway,
sure.
So I've got to my number.
Yeah, and big thanks.
I'm sure.
Who is he? Put big thanks for the super chat. Sent you €2 there, Nnamdi. Should be, you know. Is it massive?
Yeah,
Mr. You 999 TV sent you a €2 super chat.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate you joining in, because it's probably our first time seeing you commenting on here. Yes, and as Stevie says, so Last Exit to Brooklyn was saying 12-inch mixes rescued the album. And Stevie, you mentioned about how the remixes on the album, I mean, like Dog Me Out was, you know, completely different song, you know, when you hit the remix and stuff like that. So he put in the work on the remix and stuff. Somebody asked, how soon did he finish the Guy album to work on the Michael album, on Dangerous? And if you've listened to my interview with John Marie John Marie, who was the engineer, he didn't engineer The Future, he engineered Dangerous, but he also did the remix for Dog Me Out with Teddy. And he mentioned that you know, when they were doing that, they went on tour, they were in Japan, and they were already starting to plan for the Dangerous by mid 91. So by the time 92 came along, by the beginning of 1991, they were already working on the Dangerous album. So, but anyway, we'll get there. Stevie, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is very similar in what I said about my number 8 on the debut, in the way that it's grown on me over the years. I mean, when I first heard this, I felt an uneasiness listening to it. I thought it was a solid track, but it was so different. The message, it wasn't, you know, that there was a message in the song, and it was the first time we heard Guy putting a message out there. And I'm talking about the title track. And the reason why it's grown on me, because lyrically, I think it stood the test of time. And you know, you see what was going on then, but you see what's going on now, and it's even more striking about what is actually going on now. I mean, again, 30 years ahead of the time, but I did feel, but maybe it was meant to make you feel a bit emotional or uneasy. It's supposed to make you think a bit. But number 8's the future. Like I say, it's really, really over the years. That's one of the standout tracks for me now on this album.
The future.
Yeah, the title cut, because of what they're saying and the way what they were saying back then resonates. You know, what it resonates now. You know.
Okay. Yeah. The future. I don't think it may even makes my top 15. But Sheldon.
Wow.
My number 8 is Tease Me Tonight. You know, great record, and it really plays up the Airman's the nasty man, his persona. You know, when you look at the last end of the vocal performance or whatever, in terms of, you know, the whole orgasmic thing. But at the same time, and you guys know I'm a music historian, is that there's a record that came out many years ago, probably about 15 years before the Future album. It was called Love Won't Let Me Wait. And the guy's got about a minute and a half. He's doing the exact same thing. He's got the woman in the background, all of that. So it's the same. It's in the same tradition of that, you know, that whole sexy thing. But yeah, that's my number 8.
It's interesting, the three of us, where we put that track.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our top 10.
Yeah.
It's at the sharp end of it, you know. But at least it's in there.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that Nnamdi's got Want to Get With You in his top 10, because I was a bit worried that he might not put that one in.
Okay.
Well, it's made.
Well, my number. Okay, was that Major Harris? Okay.
7 now.
Major Harris.
Chin
Yeah,
Beats
Major Harris. Yes.
Yes, Chin Beats. I just gave it that just wrote that. Yeah, my number 7 is a track that has grown on me, and that was Why You Want to DOG Me Out. Now, of course, the remixes are completely different than the album version. But for the album version, I think what I loved about how all three of them get to sing. I love the fact that Teddy does all the ladies start to sing, and why you want to dog me out? So he's got the whole chorus and the whole funkiness of the album version. Now, so the remix is like out of this world kind of thing, but the album version was just real funky, and the whole chorus and the whole wise guys. It's production wise, it was just all over the place. It was just amazing. At the time, and as I said, it grew on me. And of course, as I said, I listened to a remix. Like, why was the remix not on the album? But you know, everyone has told me about how they always tell you to save the better part for the remix for the single, so you can sell more of the single. But I do like, it was just to love the whole chorus and the whole stuff like that, and you know, and one of the things that Teddy is really good at in those tracks was his whole background vocals. He had Mary and Marsha, and he had Tammy doing backgrounds, and you can always hear Teddy as well in the backgrounds and stuff. So that's a really powerful track. I've got other tracks that are much more important to me, but that's where it is. Dog Me Out, number 7.
Do you know what I think, Nnamdi? And I think, imagine if Teddy had sent that track to Prince, what Prince would have done with it. Because I feel the album mix is terrible. It's terrible. Just terrible. I don't think as an album mix it stood the test of time at all. Obviously, it's very Prince, it's very P-Funk inspired, but just doesn't cut it for me. The remix, on the other hand, now we're talking. And obviously we can't. If it was the remix, it'd probably be number 1 in this chart. But obviously, Dog Me Out album mix doesn't make it for me. And all I'm going to say is, imagine if he'd have sent that to Prince. What would have Prince made of it? What would have Prince done with it? But that's my controversial statement for this evening. Sheldon,
okay.
I've not done mine 7, have I?
Somebody, have you seen this? So if he had sent it to Prince, it would have been Get Off.
I think Prince would have took it to an insanely high. You know, he'd have just. He'd have killed it, Prince. But anyway, that was never going to happen. Number 7 for me is Gotta Be a Leader. I thought out the 2 rap tracks, that was far better. Yeah.
Gotta Be a Leader.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
You know, that was if he's going to do a rap hip hop track, that is the way to do it. Shame to book him, but brilliant track. Gotta Be a Leader. Could have been it. That could have been a single. Could have been a single. That again could have had some amazing mixes on it, but it's a great album track.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Did I? Yeah, it was okay.
I'm really worried for your top 10 now. Now I'm like, what's going on here?
Not necessarily. I mean, Gotta Be a Leader. I mean, it's yeah. I'm you know, the thing is, Teddy probably could have done a remix that would have just been out of this world. But yeah. Anyway, Sheldon, what your thoughts about your number 7?
Well, mine is going to be Dog Me Out.
Oof.
Mine's going to be Dog Me Out.
Okay.
Of course, we know the remix was just crazy. Oh my God, it was just really super crazy. But you know, when I listened to the Dog Me Out, it kind of reminded me of Prince's Housequake. I don't know if he actually sampled that or whatever, man, but I liked it when I heard it because it was just totally different from the rest of the records. And now you start seeing Teddy now kind of doing what everyone was doing, coming behind him, is now he's starting to incorporate a lot more samples into the record. So it was great to hear like familiar sounding samples or certain musical style, certain musical elements in the record that sounded maybe like a record that had come out some time before. So, but you know, I remember the remix was super dope. I remember them being on BET and they were talking about the remix. Both of them were on there. And then, of course, they put out a video, a VHS compilation of all their videos, and it was Dog Me Out was on there. So yeah,
that is an essential. That is an essential CD single that to get for anybody.
I have that. Yes,
incredible mixes, incredible.
I was in Asia when that had come out, and I saw the video, and I had to call somebody and say, "Hey, look, I need you to go get that." And they went to the record store, got it, mailed it to me. Yeah, that's probably in my top 5 of Teddy Riley remixes, you know.
Incredible.
And they actually did the video for the remix as well. So they shot both of them at the same time, both the same sort of set. They probably just shot both videos. So he already had, I think he did, there was 3 different remixes. The one with Rex and Effects, and there was one with he had different Dog Me Out remixes. He had 2 different videos. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we have Dog Me Out, myself 7 and Sheldon 7. Stevie, what's your okay? So my number 6. This would have been higher at the time, and actually still now. And actually, if I remember when I was back in boarding school, some of my friends actually still remembered this song, and actually was one of their favorite songs off the album. And I do wonder if Aaron had sang it completely, how much more different it would have been. And that is, this was his Andre Crouch moment in Long Gone. You know, I do like how Teddy started off, and then Aaron comes in, as Sheldon mentioned, and just takes it to another level. And then you had the chorus, they had the whole Marsha and Mary and Tammy and everyone just singing the chorus, and it just felt like a big track. And especially, it probably could have been one of those tracks that could have been celebrated. You know, we have Bad Boys, Missing You, which they play. I think this could have been one of those tracks if marketing would have done something better with it. So they could have just used it to remember all the people who had just fallen down and had passed away. They could have just done a video and not released as a single, but as a promo. It would have really done well. But as I said, I used to wonder when I listened to it. Now, maybe, as I said, maybe the fact that Teddy started slowly and then Aaron takes it to another level is part of the appeal of it. Because if Aaron had started it and just gone in, we couldn't have seen it build up. But then again, yes, Colin is right. If Damion had sang it, and this was one of my biggest disappointments with the album, is that we didn't get to hear Damion shine more on the album. and just a few bits and pieces here, but he probably would have done. It would have been great to see that. Yeah. So, what about yourself, Stevie?
Number 6. Now, when I actually went to see Guy live on the Future tour in Manchester at the time when they were hot in the prime, I took a friend with me who wasn't. He was very much into Italian piano house music. He'd come up on TikTok,
Italian piano house music,
and then he got onto this mad. I think he was going clubbing, doing certain substances. I don't know what he was doing, but he suddenly got into rave and Italian piano house music. But I dragged him along to this guy gig, and he didn't really know who he'd heard of him, but he weren't. But anyway, Guy start off with this track, and I'm up on my feet, and my guy's like, "Oh my god." What is this, Steve? What is this song? What is this? It completely blown him. There was all these like green laser lights come out, and they come out, and they were all over. And I'm like, oh, it was just, it was incredible. But the track I'm talking about is, I felt Teddy got this right. He got this so right, because rave, dance, club culture, especially in the UK, was peaking by 1990 in the UK. Even MCA released this as a single in the UK and in Europe. They didn't put it out in America. They put it specifically for our club market, and it took off. But it's her. The start, is at number 6. I thought the drum. He had a completely new set of drum sounds on that track, and I thought they were amazing. But totally different. What a track! What a track! It's at number 6. Could be higher, but
I know what you're gonna say. Yeah,
it's there. It's
Did this happen to you, Stevie, when you
Say that again?
So Last Exit to Brooklyn said they were at Hammersmith when the Future tour, and Aaron. Did that happen?
I didn't go to Hammersmith. I went to the Apollo.
No, but in Manchester,
they went to the Apollo, and it was only half full. And I even remember, like, my father came to pick us up at the end of the gig, and they let him in. They let him in till the last 10 minutes, and the last 10 minutes of the gig, they were playing My Fantasy. And I come out, and my dad was like, "Who were they?" And I'm like, "That's Guy, Dad." Because I really enjoyed that. I said, honestly, my dad was like, yeah. So and my dad's into Neil Young, and
wow.
and all that like folky kind of. And I'm like, "You like it?" He goes, "Yeah, it was really good. That I don't know who they were, but enjoyed that." So yeah, but. Hey, we're getting these super chicks. Hey, we're going to be rich by the end of the episode. Better be calling us a check, mate. I'm telling you, for guest appearances, the way this is going. What's he saying? I could be wrong, but one of the models in Guys Dog Me Out was the main lady in Basic Black's She's Mine. I tell you what, that woman in that Basic, she was hot. I don't know who it was, though.
No, so the model in Dog Me Out, one of the models was actually Keith Sweat's wife.
She wasn't his wife at the time. She was in "Want to Get With You" video too.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was an Asian lady in one of Dog Me Out videos, and Teddy said in a subsequent interview that was actually Keith's wife. But I would doubt if Gene would have allowed anyone from a Guy video to go into Basic Black, because they were deemed at the time. But you know what? When they left Guy and Gene Griffin, Mucho went to see all of them. At least I love the fact that people know, the guys know. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah. So she was in the video and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, people ask about My Fantasy.
999. Whoever this person is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate the fact that we appreciate the fact that you joined in and celebrating with us, and thanks very much. And as I mentioned earlier, I would take the Basic Black album over any New Jack Swing. That's how highly I rated, and it was just much more of a New Jack album. So yeah, so when I listened to "Gotta Be a Leader," I'm like, oh goodness, that Basic Black album really was groundbreaking. But anyway, off of that.
Number 6 for Sheldon. We're on number 6 for Sheldon.
Okay, number 6 for me is Gotta Be a Leader. Obviously, I love the storyline. Basically semi-autobiographical, and then the sample, the James Brown sample, the one that everyone loves with the horns and all of that. That's from a record he made back in I think it was like 1966, 67. I don't need nobody to help me open up the door. I get it myself. And when you ever go back and listen to that record, you'll hear the horns because the song starts off with that, the whole dun 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 dun, and then it goes into the horns. So that's where it comes from. But yeah, I loved it. It changed the pace, the energy, the tempo of the record. So I loved it, man. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. As I said, it's
top
the
10
reason.
by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, the reason why I preferred Total Control was because I just loved the whole jazz, the way Teddy was playing the piano, and the whole the whole vibe of it, and how the whole storytelling. As I said, if you listen to it right now, you're like, man, goodness. So they're just pretty much explaining the whole music business and what happened to them, and especially if you listen to all the interviews. That Gene will give you, even Damion said it. Yeah, Gene will give you this massive, just a few pages to sign, and then you give you the whole thing later, and your lawyer says, yeah, you're pretty much messed up now. There's nothing you can do. So the whole story about that, as I said, as a kid, I had no idea what they were saying. So that's why I preferred Total Control to Gotta Be a Leader. But anyway, we're down to the top 5. Woo! Top 5. So, yeah, so here's my top 5. So number 5 is a track at the time when it came out. I would say it had the best video of all the ones they released. It had the best music video, and it was, it actually was on the vibe of sort of Kissing Game. It was Dave Way, an amazing engineer. I love what he did with Teddy's sound and the whole vibe of stuff like that. But this is Do Me Right with featuring Heavy D. I'm sure the remix was much better. I think from the album version, it was nice. I love Heavy's sort of rap on it. I love the whole storytelling. I love the video. Visually, it was really colorful and really good. But I think there was something missing. I could have just pushed it and made it a much more powerful single. But that's my number 5.
Wow. Only number 5. Right. Number 5 for me. If it was the remix, it'd be different. But the album mix, and I do like this song a lot. I do like it. The only reason it's kind of at number 5, it's to do with the mix and the mastering, because it suddenly when I listen to this track, the volume level drops compared to the rest of the album on this. And I don't know if it's something to do with the mix or the mastering, but Aaron's vocal on this, as what you were saying before, Shell, is incredible. It really is incredible. But Let's Stay Together, the album mix, makes my top 5. Could have been a bit further up. The remix, different matter. But doubt that mix and master, because it's just a drop in. It's got to be it's got to be the mix or the mastering. It's one or the other. Maybe Teddy will tell us one day. But it's a great song. It's got a lot of soul. It's got Tammy Lucas on it. Could have been further up, but because of that reason, it's number 5.
Okay. Yeah. Sheldon, what about your number 5?
My number 5 is Do Me Right. Great song. Okay. Song written very well. Just and again,
Bernard Bell.
Yeah, yes. So, listening to that album and listening to some of those songs on the album it's just a different dimension, obviously, or whatever, because now you're starting to see them with the songs they have. You see the difference between obviously the songs that Timmy wrote and what they wrote that they were writing at the time or whatever. But that's a very strong song in terms of, man, lyrically, just everything, man. And Aaron's singing is so great, man. It's just it's an unsung record. You know, that's one record that people just kind of fall through the cracks. People don't really remember that record as much. But yeah, the video was great. The whole storyline, just great. And then of course, Heavy D, you know, is in the middle. It breaks it up, and it's very seamless. Sometimes you throw a rap in the middle of the track, and it goes somewhere else. But that we talked about Heavy D a few weeks ago, man. It just even though he's a rapper, he's a great songwriter, and him being able to write the rap that it seamlessly fits within the song's lyrical concept. Great record. Great record.
Yeah. And you said, if you think about it, I was wondering if Teddy had produced that track for Heavy, how much different it would have been. You know how he did the whole "Is It Good to You"?
Mm-hmm.
If he had, I could have just seen Heavy just doing something really, really wild with that. But I think there was something missing that could have just pushed it. You know, it was a good track. Yeah. So going to number 4.
And real quick, you hear Damien's background vocals on there, really strong, really good. You know.
So before I talk to my number 4, I wanted yesterday I put out a poll to find out, you know, because I was thinking about what people's thoughts on the following tracks. I said, Before I Let You Go by Blackstreet, Let's Chill by Guy, Goodbye Love by Guy, Joy by Blackstreet, and Don't Leave Me by Blackstreet. So about 1,600 people voted, and at number 5 was Joy, 10%. At number 4 was Don't Leave Me at 13%. At number 3 was Goodbye Love with 15%. At number 2 was Before I Let You Go. And at number 1 was Let's Chill, 38%. Which was a surprise when you think about all those ballads and those type of songs. But that just shows you that. But my number 4 is Let's Chill. And I'm surprised that a lot of people really rated the song above most of Guy's songs. And it was, you know, I think it was a story. Yeah, I'm surprised that they rated more than Goodbye Love and Piece of My Love. So that's
surprised that Let's Chill's above. Are you kidding me?
Yes, I'm serious. Because I think it's a beautiful song, but I am surprised.
It's a classic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a beautiful song. It's a nice vibe. It's my number 4. But as I said, I'm surprised people rated more than Goodbye Love.
Let's get the yellow card out for Nnamdi, please.
No,
get the yellow card out.
That's far from a yellow card. But that's So
Number 4, he's put it out, and he's questioning. He's even questioning the validity of it. Get the yellow card out for Nnamdi, will you?
Yeah, I'm questioning whether it should have been. It's number 4 because it's a nice track. It's not Goodbye Love and Piece of My Love, but that's And at the time it was it's a little track, a nice video. The whole storyline was good as well. But Stevie, what's your number 4?
I'd just like to say a very good evening to everybody that's tuned in live right now, as ever. Chin Beats, M-Mac, Colin, Miss Skeet's there. Everybody's tuned in.
Let's Chill was my wedding dance song.
The messages are flowing in. You know, keep them coming. You know, we're happy you're joining us tonight. We appreciate it as always. The debate's getting a bit. It's getting a bit as we're getting closer now. The debate's getting a bit edgy now. You know what I mean? It's getting a bit edgy. But anyway, what we on number 4?
Number 4.
Well, there was 3 versions of this, wasn't there? Of this particular song. The debate is, I think my least favorite was number 3. Does it beat number 1? But Teddy's Jam is in at number 4 for me. Brilliant. I think Teddy's Jam 2 is better than Teddy's Jam. I think it is. And the remixes, again, we're not doing remixes, but if anybody can afford this CD single, which is rather you're talking about $100 for this now at least. If you can afford it, please get it, or even the 12-inch vinyl, which is probably about $50. But an incredible Teddy's Jam 2 is an incredible. It's at number 4. Sonically amazing, you know, just brilliant album track, and again, incredible remixes. So number 4 for me.
I wonder if Carell did a remix. The fact that he was on Teddy Jam. Okay, Sheldon, what about your number 4?
My number 4 is Teddy Jam 2. That is my number 4. That one, the groove and the keyboard riffs going throughout the record, and I agree. I love Teddy's Jam 2 a lot better than the first one. However, I love the remixes from the first Teddy Jam. But Teddy Jam 2 and the remix that when it came out was dope. But yeah, that's my number 4. I just love it. The back and forth between Aaron and Teddy, you know, great, man. Great.
Yeah. Okay. We're going down to our top 3. And my number 3 was a song that I didn't realize that Aaron wrote before the Future album. And you know, when I spoke with Damion mentioned that, you know, when Aaron came down to Virginia, was he in Virginia Tech? I can't remember where Damion said he went to university, but
Virginia
he came
State.
down there.
Virginia State.
He was there for a couple of weeks, and he wrote the track while visiting Damion. And you know, I think, you know, for me, it was the best ballad on the album, and that's "Smile." I'm surprised Stevie just almost managed to put it in his top 10, which was a that's a red card for me.
Say that first line again. Say that first line again, please. You just said. Just repeat what you just said there to me.
No, the first line was what Aaron wrote.
It's the best ballad on the album.
Yes, it is the best ballad on the album. "Smile."
Jesus,
"Smile" is definitely much. It should have been released as a single, and I think if it had released as a single, it would have done better than "Let's Chill." I think the whole vibe of that, yeah, much better. I love the little interlude with Teddy when he plays the little place. Yeah, no, I've not heard Case's version of "Smile," but and I you know, I hate anyone doing a remake of anything that guy has done. But yeah, it's "Smile" to me, beautiful track, beautiful ballad, beautiful. Much, yeah, as I say, I preferred it better than "Let's Chill." It's because "Let's Chill" was released as a single and it did well. I think if "Smile" had come out, it would have done much better. Yeah, but that's my number 3. Yes.
No,
as I said, it makes a difference when it's track
definitely
released.
in the top 10, but you can't put that over what you're talking about. Just no way. But that's just opinion.
As I said, when because "Let's Chill" was released and everyone got into it, but "Smile," unfortunately, if it was released, it would have done much better. Yeah,
no,
I think if it actually was released as the second single instead of "Do Me Right."
Not a chance, Andy.
Yeah, well, you know, unfortunately, we will never know. What's your number 2?
The fact that it didn't even make the vinyl album says it all. The track didn't even make the vinyl album. It's a bonus track. But anyway, Sheldon. Oh, it's me, innit?
No, it's you, Stevie.
Right, what are we on? Number 3. Number 3, Jack and Ori Story Time here. I've got very good memories of this track. I go to this bar that had just opened about a couple of miles away from where I live with a few friends. That was it. We just finished. I think we just finished college. It was either school or college, one or the other. It was our last day. We finished, and about, you know, we just went down, and I'm in there, and there's this guy DJing, and there's these 2 other guys, and they were just playing they were playing 80s soul, and I was shocked because it was like, you know, it was in a white area. Let's just put it that way. And I was like, wow, got some 80s soul, got some cool DJs here. So I'm listening to this DJ, and I thought, I wonder if I go over and ask for some. I didn't say New Jack Swing, then I said swing beat. I wonder if I say to him, have you got any swing beat? Will you playing it? So anyway, I braved it over there, and I went, hey mate, have you got any swing beat? He went, yeah, I'll play something for you in a bit. So 10 minutes later, he plays my number 3. I'm like, whoa, he actually plays it now. He ends up becoming like a really good friend of mine. And the 2 guys who were with him were his family members, younger family members. And we ended up, no, in fact, I finished school, because here's the way the story continues. We end up, when I started college, I started this music course. And the 2 guys who were his family members were in the same class as me on this music business course. Mm-hmm. You got right it was just like sheer coincidence. And I've never told anybody this before. We ended up in a group together. There's 3 of us. We called ourselves Shades. And we actually, I couldn't sing a note. I just put this group together. Them 2 could sing. They could sing, they could dance. They looked the part and everything. And we did like 2 or 3 performances. We even made some demos. Don't ask me where they are, but it was very guy inspired. So for like 6 months, I was part of this group that didn't amount to nothing, but it was fun. But anyway, what's my number 3? It was playing everywhere in the UK. The video, I'd hear it on the radio. Do Me Right. That's my number 3. I've just got great memories of the record. Great time. Number 3. Thank you very much.
So, are you one of the people that Suge Knight says an executive dancing all in the videos, just singing on the records, but not singing on the
I'd be going, check 1, check 2. That's about as much as I did. Check 1, check 2. Like a bit like Teddy did. That's all I did. And I stand in the background while the other two guys were Aaron Hall and Damion. One had a really strong voice, and the other one was like a bit like I'd back him up. But I was very much in the background, like Teddy, going check 1, check 2, and it was terrible. That sounded terrible.
Yeah, I can see that now. They'd be like, I can see it. They'd be like, yo, Steve, kick it. You know what I'm saying?
We went in the studio, right, and we got it. We got a track. The production, if I can find it, it's got. If I can find it, it's on a tape. The production with the back. There's no song. It's got the backing vocals on it. I'll try and find it, but it was fat. It was seriously fat. It was called Shades before Shades came out in '96. That girl group. So there you go.
Somebody will find it and play it.
The lost tapes.
Yes.
The lost tape of Shade. So, Sheldon, what's your number 3?
My number 3, I'm kind of split, kind of torn, but they're still my number 3. The interlude for Where Did the Love Go? I always wanted this to be an entire song.
Wow.
I always wanted this to be an entire song, but again, Aaron singing, impeccable. And then The Future, you know, they kind of like tied for my number 3. And it's just like what you all said earlier when you were referring to some of the songs on the album. There's a cloud of, you can tell the cloud of their business situation, the managerial situation that they went over to. That cloud is hanging over the album. So when you listen to The Future, it's almost like it's very optimistic. You know, they're going into an optimistic transition. So I'll always love that. You know, when I first heard the song, I had bought the "Wanna Get With You" cassette single, and they had snippets of each song. They had snippets of a few songs that we've already talked about, and some we're going to talk about, you know, before this podcast is over. And just to hear the intro of The Future, and then Aaron's vocals come in, and then the song fades out into the next song. So it was like a teaser. And just to hear it, man, Aaron's vocals are very haunting. But again, he's not singing in the same tone that he's singing on the first album. It's just a different vibe in terms of that. So he's really unsung as a vocalist in that way, because, you know, we love the runs that he does, but I think his singing on this album is probably some of the best that he's ever done. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, I think this album is when he became the voice. I mean, the power in this. I think there was, listening to Tim, he said that Aaron was quite shy when they first met. So, but by this time he's done on tour. He's all over the place, and so definitely it. Fact that you were one of the biggest groups in the world and have no money. I think that knocked it out, but he still put on the show. Yeah. Okay.
Good
So
evening
you
to
had the
Mrs.
future.
Damion has joined us late. Better late than never miss. But lovely to have you here. I'll tell you what, Sheldon, I was listening to that interlude before we went live, and it is incredible. Like you say, you think, oh, if it's only longer. But wow, number 3. I mean, I'm surprised, but it is good. It is very good. It's a very good interlude. If we was doing a top 10 interlude, that might make my top 10 interlude of all time. But we're not doing a top 10 interludes. You know what I mean?
We're down to our final 2. So my, it's definitely a track that, unlike when we saw Teddy and Aaron combined in on the Guy album, when they came on the Future album, it was the same type of vibe, but it felt as if it was more of a duet. It felt it was more of a duet, and I'm talking about Teddy's Jam too, because Aaron says more in this as opposed to in just Teddy Jam, and just Teddy more. He's singing it more. I don't know what is going on. Everything he said, he sang a lot more. Just felt like that. But I think the drums, the whole thing. I prefer it actually to the remix. For me, I just love the whole thing. The way it just goes. It felt as if he was like, I'm gonna make this my best work. It felt like it was one of the strongest tracks on the album. So at number 2 is definitely Teddy's Jam 2. And even the video was nice. The fact that they're trying to go everywhere and the people are shutting them out. It's like, okay, we need to work hard on this. When you think about the fact that Gina's, has gone off with their money and now they have to relaunch themselves and stuff. But yeah, Teddy's Jam 2. There was no, Teddy's Jam was okay, was good. The intro, beginning. Teddy's Jam 3, yeah, not as good. But Teddy's Jam 2, as I said, is my second favorite song on the album, and has always been. So that's mine. Much higher up.
If you ever listen to the remix, what I really love about the remix is at the end, as they start to wrap the song off, there's a call and response that singers do. Like someone will sing a line, then the other person will sing a line, and you'll see that call and response between Teddy and Aaron, where Aaron is singing and Teddy's doing a vocoder, and then the keyboards. It's in the same melody of Aaron's vocals. So Aaron's like jam, and Teddy's doing a jam on the vocoder, and then the keyboards riffs are in the same melody. So very exciting to hear, man.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll try and listen to it. Yeah, I'll try and listen to it. I just love the way he was just playing the keyboards and it was just going high and bringing it back down and stuff like that. It's funny because Teddy won't say that. In the past he's not said he's a great keyboard player, but then the work he does on those tracks when he's playing the keyboards and stuff like that, it's just out there. Now they will tell you that Aaron there, but when it comes to that whole keyboards and what the music inside Teddy's head, it's just magical on that track. Yeah, just loved it.
Yeah, Teddy's keyboard playing. He says he's not, he doesn't see himself, in the line, and maybe somebody who does that, whose primary thing is playing keyboards. But one of the things about his playing is that it has it's a lot of personality in his playing, and then it also has a strong identity. He has a strong musical identity to where when people were trying to, come behind Guy doing their version of New Jack Swing, and they were trying to replay the same type of riffs and everything, but Teddy's, you knew it was him when you heard it, regardless of what he was playing, whether it was the Keith Sweat, whether it was the up-tempo riffs that he was doing, you know, the down-tempo with some of those records like, Make It Last Forever. But he had a unique keyboard style that was uniquely his own, and it was, you could hear, it was, you knew it when you heard him. Strong identity. Great keyboard player.
Yeah, Teddy's Jam 2, man. Stevie, what's your number 2?
Solid Nnamdi, solid number 2. Even though this record was supposed to be a departure from the first album, and it did sound different, I'm realizing now if it's probably the only track that is, you could say, it still leans towards the first album. It's a track that it sounds hard now. It still sounds hard. I think, has it stood the test of time? Yeah, I think it has. It is a club track, and it still leans, even though it's supposed to have been a departure from the first album, it's leaning very heavily towards the first album. But my number 2 is Wanna Get With You. That's my number 2, guys. Heavy. Play it again now. It's heavy. Production, the mood, everything about it. I mean, it kicks now. Brilliant track. Number 2 for me.
Yeah, that was a dope record. When I heard it, just to hear the guitar sample, which comes from George McRae's "I Get Lifted," and you would hear that sample. Teddy would use it in future records, and a lot of hip hop, soul, and R&B records would use it later on. But yeah, man, it was a unique record because he starts out, he's singing. You know, he's singing on the record. It's like it picks up where Spend the Night left off. So he's singing the record, and then I love how Aaron comes through on the bridge, you know, and then they go on, and then, you know, the record closes out after he does the second verse. But yeah, that was on my list too. But then I started going back and listening to other songs, and I had to take it off. But Wanna Get With You, yeah, that's kind of like the closest in terms of production. That's similar to, even though the production is not, the beats per minute are not as high, but yeah, that production kind of like it's like a continuation of what the first album was. So it was a good choice of a first single.
Do you know when I was going to my import record store buying vinyl, right, every week on a Saturday, I remember one morning walking in, and there was a couple of boxes. They're on the floor at the back, and I said to the guy, "What are them down there?" And he goes, "Oh, they're like CD singles, promotional items." I didn't even understand what a promotional. I didn't understand what promotion. I don't understand it now, but I'm picking these things up. There's no covers on them. They're just the back cover and the CD, and I'm like, there was a box full of them, and they were all swing stuff. And I went, I don't know for what. I'm just going to get them anyway. I said, how much? And I said to the guy, how much are these? And he was like, I take, because it's you and you like Swift, I'll let you have them for a £1 each. Can you imagine walking out with a box of these? And they're worth crazy money now. It's the luckiest day in my life in terms of like buying CDs. Probably one of the luckiest days. I got my Troop CD singles out of there for £1. That's my attitude. All the mixes on. The crazy money now, but yeah, you can try and find these things.
Yeah, I
know with the money.
Yeah, I wish I would have bought, you know, looking back at the time, I wish I had bought the CD single versus the cassette. The cassette was a maxi single, and they had, each of them had the denim suits on with the sunglasses or whatever. And I remember I just played that thing to death, but I wish I had bought the CD single when it had come out back then. Yeah, but it's a great choice, man.
Hey, listen,
what's that song?
We've got another super chat here.
It Will Feel All Right. What do you know? Does anyone know the song? It Will Feel All Right.
Oh, is that of the Dangerous Mind soundtrack? I can't.
Well, no, well, there's a song that he's singing something similar to that. That's on the Boomerang soundtrack.
Ah, that's it, innit? That's the one. That's the one.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, when we think about, you know, vocally, you know, as I said, Aaron, this is when he really introduced, because I think on the Guy album he was restrained, and the music and the lyrics really shone on. He's talking about Want to Get With You. I think the music took and the lyrics sort of made that album, the Davey Guy album. I don't think Aaron vocally was, I don't think you'd think, oh wow, his voice was amazing on that. I think on the Future album, I think he really stood out with his vocals on the Future album, and Teddy really, because they recorded in the studio as opposed to recording in Teddy's bathroom, and and then transferring that into the studio. So you can see vocally, Aaron was just on another level. So we're down to our number one track.
Number
so
two. Have you done yours?
Oh, Sheldon, what's your number two?
My number two is a record on that album that Teddy talked about in interviews where he wanted to make like a street version of a love song. Obviously, there's some other interviews he talks about this record on a more personal level. But the biggest thing is that on one of the interviews that really stood out was he was trying to make a version of like a street love song, and the terminology that he used was what people were saying back then. So it was more about inserting the slang at that time into the song. And of course, we all know it's less chill. And dope record. I think it's their most enduring ballad. Bernard Bell, Keith Sweat, Teddy, doing their thing. And of course, when you talk about background vocal accents, Teddy's ability to insert background vocals in the record where it's not necessarily it's quality and quantity, because the person's background vocals are not, sometimes they're not all the way throughout the record, but they're just inserted at certain key points that gives that record a different dimension. When we talked about the Goodbye Love with Tammy, I think Let's Chill kind of falls in line with that because Tony Thompson is doing the background vocal. And just to hear the record, and then at the time I was thinking that was Damion doing the singing in the background, but you're hearing Tony, and this is right before, those guys are coming out with I Just Can't Handle It and Kissing Game or whatever that is. But Teddy's very good, man, in just inserting great background vocal accents into the record. So when you look at like Let's Stay Together, or just all of those records, the leads are great, but then the background vocal accents are just as great, and it kind of just elevates the record to the next level. So Let's Chill is my number two.
Good evening to Kev the Chef. How you doing, sir?
Let's see. Look, I think like as I said, it's a beautiful record. As I mentioned, people, it beats all of Edo Teddy's slow jams. But
here's a question for you, both of you. We'll start off with a debut. Give me a rating out of 10 overall. What's your rating out of 10? Do you give the debut?
The debut
number
album?
Out of 10? Yeah. What's
8.
your rating? 8. What's
8.
yours? What's yours, Nnamdi? Out of 10?
No, I just said 8.
Sorry, no.
You said Sheldon.
I would say I would give it a 10 because I love the compact sequencing of the album. Is that you don't have, it's not a whole lot of songs on there. It's just that you just got, what is it, 8, 9? Was it 10 songs on there? What is it?
10 songs.
10 songs.
Yeah, we did it last week. 10 songs.
Yeah, 10 songs or whatever, and they're just it's tight, man. It's just really, really tight, and each song has its own identity. But I just love, the ballads are cool on the records. Obviously dope, but the up tempos really sell that album for me. And you didn't really see a lot of albums at that time where they were just hitting you hard with the up tempos. So even though if Piece of My Love or Never was a single,
Goodbye Love,
none of those records, just if that record just had straight up tempos and those ballads weren't on there, it still would be a hot record, man. It still would be a 10 out of 10 for me because I'm a big fan of up tempos. I love ballads, but I had never heard an album that had that many great up-tempo records, and that's the selling point for me. That's why that's my favorite of all the records they've done. But going back to the Let's Chill, there's a remix, 12-inch that's out there, and it's called the Chilled Out Soliloquy, and Aaron is doing vocals, and he's talking throughout the record. It's hushed vocal plus production. Great 12-inch and great remix. He's got multiple ones on there. There's like an acoustic, vibe on there. But yeah, that 12-inch. I thought you were about to pull it out, Stevie. I thought you were about to hold it up.
It's time yet. The night is still young, Sheldon. The night is still
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
okay. So we're gonna. Yeah.
Hold on. What do you rate out of 10, Nnamdi? The Future. What do you give it a rating out of 10 overall as an album?
As an album, I would go and give it. Now I'd give it a 7. Ooh. When it came out, I gave it a 10 because it was just at my head. Same. I think. Yeah, at the time it was one of my first CDs. It was like it just felt like reading the booklet. I was reading, as I said, I still have the booklet from that album. I should have brought it to my wife's car, but yeah. But I would say that but afterwards, going back and listening to the Guy album, and unfortunately Jodeci came out just afterwards, did the whole up New Jack and stuff, and then that's why it's gone down. I think I prefer less is better. 9-10 tracks on an album, you can really, that's why I love Make It Last Forever. 8 tracks. The Guy album's 10. That's I think Thriller was 8 tracks or 9 tracks. When you just have great tracks, you don't have to skip. You can appreciate it. But this one has 16, 1 interlude and 1 remix, so it's 14. With 2 other tracks, and I think that's why when you have to skip past that and it moves here and there. I think if you had just come out with just 11 great tracks, it would have reached up higher. 7
for you, 7.5, yeah, Nnamdi.
Mine is 7. Chimpy says 7.5.
7.
Colin
so we got
9.
We got a 9. You got a 9 for the debut and a 7 for the Future, yeah.
Yeah, mine was 8 for the debut and 7 for the Future.
8. Okay, and Sheldon, you got 10 for the debut,
and then for the Future, it's probably like around about a 7. About a 7. And the reason why I say that is because for some, I'm a big fan of the mid-tempos, up-tempos, and I think the sequencing of the album kind of like threw things off for me. But I understand, looking back at the album now, is that they got a bigger budget, a lot of experimenting is going on, so you got a lot more things at your disposal. So it's really, the album isn't a sonic upgrade from the first. It's just that the first is just my favorite, but I just think that in terms of the production itself, it's a little bit kind of like dated for me on certain spots or whatever that is. But the album, you talking about, that album is dope, man. There's a lot of 90s albums or whatever that come out that are not as good as this album.
No.
People talk about the 90s or whatever, but everything in the 90s was not great. There was a lot of good stuff, a lot of great stuff, and there's a lot of trash. But this album here, if you look into the course, I would say in top 10, maybe top 15 90s albums, this is it,
Yeah, but think about it. It was, at the time it came out, Guy were like an R&B rock group. As I said, the way they dressed, they would go on Arsenio Hall they would look, how they didn't dress like, jeans and a t-shirt or stuff like that, or wear suits. They would dress like, you don't dress like that to go out. They dress like rock stars, they were big.
This is a 9 out of 10 for me. The reason being, because these 10 tracks you can easily pick and love on this album. We're doing it now, so the debut for me is 11 out of 10. It's not even in question. It's not even in question. It's 11. Well, this is a 9 out of 10.
And think about it too, is that when those guys are coming out, right? The look, and I wrote about this, but when they come out, and even when they go into the future is an upgrade, man. They got the outfits, the whole nine, man. It's just now everything's now coming together, because the budgets are bigger and the whole persona, everything is just like falling into place, man. Like you said, in terms of style, and I sometimes it's easy to interject style with music because that's where we're at now. Music is such a visual component, but when you look at what they were doing, they were still head and shoulders over everybody in terms of when you look at the combination of it, because there's a lot of excitement with that record. Obviously, that doesn't exist on the Jodeci record. It doesn't exist in the Boyz II Men record, even though those records were great. But in terms of the future, I would rate the future above Boyz II Men's first album, and I would rate the future probably because of the Jodeci sequencing. I would probably rate the future just under Forever My Lady, man. But that album, it's almost like Bobby Brown's album. The Bobby album was a transitional album, New Jack Swing. Now it's going into hip hop soul. And the future album is kind of like that. It's a transitional thing because the music is changing. Now rap is starting to become more dominant, and it's now inserted into a lot of R&B. So it's a transitional record, man. I would have liked to seen how, if they would have been able to do a third album, let's say in '92, to have all the ingredients there and to put it out. But it's not a bad album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get
Nnamdi,
come on, let's get the big drum roll. Let's get the countdown first going.
Yeah, but Mac, I've been in touch with Tony Rich. He's in the middle of some art projects, so he's been delaying to come on, and Glenn Lewis as well. But I'll make sure we will avoid letting them know that you didn't like that album.
First Glenn Lewis album's a good album, very solid album. Tony Rich, however, got some good. I need, I need to go and re-listen to Tony Rich, but there is some good moments on that album.
Yes.
Anyway, we're digressing here. Let's come on now.
So I'm going to go back to my. So before I hit number one, let me go back to my top 10. Number 10 was Total Control, really jazzy. Really loved that. Number 9 was Tease Me Tonight. Number 8 was Want to Get With You. Number 7 was Dog Me Out. Number 6 was Long Gone. Number 5 was Do Me Right. Number 4 was Let's Chill. Number 3 was Smile. Number 2 was Teddy's Jam 2. And I know that who was it? I think it was Chim. It was Chimpy that know my number one track is. When I interviewed Damion the first time, and I said to him that, man, this was my favorite track. He says this track was released as Teddy was telling them, okay, guys, I'm off to go work on Michael. And this is Let's Stay Together. The irony of releasing a track about staying together as the group was breaking up. It was, I think in the Jacked, it says that he drove off in his car after the concert in Madison Square Garden and drove off and stuff like that. John Marie says something different, like they'd been planning for a while that Michael came and they went. But the fact is that they came out with a lot of, as I said, this was their 7th single, but their 6th video. But for me, what I loved about, I loved Tammy's vocals, doing the background. I do love the remix better, the extended remix. I love the snare drums that Teddy used when he was using during the time he was working with Dave Way, because he did the same one with the Whiners, and he loved his drums on that. The Kissing Game, there was just that period, even Do Me Right and some of those things with Dave Way, there was a way he was just capturing and the way the sound was sounding then. But Let's Stay Together, I just loved how Aaron's on this stuff, the melody, what they were singing about, the vocals coming in. So that's my favorite on that album. and I know it's different from a lot of different ones, but yeah, that was my favorite track on there. Let's Stay Together, at number 1.
Great choice, Nnamdi. Great choice. You know, I love the video as well. I enjoyed the video to that. You know, and it was just sad when that dropped that we all heard that Guy were breaking up, because I think it was around that time that they decided to tell everybody. So, but I love the video as well. And those mixes.
It was funny because when I spoke with Damion, I said, yeah, you know, that was my favorite. But then he started to do the rap in the interview, and he said, yeah, and that's when we broke up. And as he said that, we were having intermittent internet with the interview, so it kept cutting off and stuff. But you know, it's the whole suit, and that's why I said, Guy, they didn't, you know, during that time they were always dressing like they were rock stars. Black rock. I mean, Sheldon, who else was dressing like that? You know, if you,
well,
I mean,
when you look in terms of when you look in terms of what they were doing, man, is that obviously the style. I mean, you've heard the interviews and things of that nature. Is Gene has a really great impact on this style when they first come out in the beginning, because there's a slickness that they got that's like a New York slick fashion. All the hustlers are dressing. There's the silk and the rayon. It's just really slick. And they've got the airbrush denim. You know, it's straight New York fashion at the time, man. But then it goes like to another level. But remember, these guys, when they're coming out at the time, let's say we're doing Let's Stay Together 92. These guys are like, you know, 25, 24 years old. And everybody else who's coming out after them, these people are teenagers. You know, 18, 19 years old. So these guys are like, you know, they're young adults. So their whole approach to style is going to be it's going to be unique, because now, after that, everybody's either trying to incorporate more of a, now what's happening is that style that Guy is doing, even though you see Boys and Men, they've got the, you know, the similar outfits and things of that nature, but that's, in a couple of years, that's about to disappear, because now rap music is starting to come out, and dressing up is not, rap music is starting to really dominate and really flex in R&B music. So now that look is starting to become the dominant look at the time. So now dressing up is looked at as like it's kind of corny, man. And then it carries over into the late 1990s, because, you know, rap is more dominant. Now they're looking at R&B singers like they're soft. But Guy is coming out with the whole look, and it's coordinated. Like when you seen the Let's Stay Together video, they got the suits on, and it's all coming together. You see Aaron now; he's the dog guy. Got the pit bull in the video, the whole thing. He's got the cane. He's got the cane. He's got the hats. So they're dressing more like grown men. It's a younger version of a grown man style, and nobody's doing it. Everybody's got baseball caps, and you know, it's really kind of like cookie cutterish. And even though they wore outfits that might have been similar, it was still unique. They had the glitter jackets and all of that stuff like that, man. You know, their look, man, I mean, just so powerful. But you're right. I love the video. Yeah. The remix of the video. Dope.
This a big super chat said, Her was the only New Jack Swing track I heard in a house techno feel, straight classic hook on my ringtone. As I said, it was I guess you had to listen to it. Her really appreciate it, Stevie.
Didn't make your top 10, did it, guys? The seven.
Well, we're not done yet.
Let's get it right.
It was my number 12.
Not six. Seven singles.
The night is still young, like Stevie said.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that was my top 10, my number 1. So
not six. There were 7 singles.
Yeah. But they made 6 videos, so we had 6 videos.
We had 7 singles.
Her wasn't. Her wasn't released in the US as a single, but you know, internationally it was, and but we didn't see it was. We had 6 videos, which is still a record when you think about R&B. I mean, how many other artists would have 6 videos? on a platinum plus album.
Well, yeah, because
that's unheard of.
Yeah, and the album in its time, and it it ran about maybe almost close to creeping up to close to 2 million. It did like about 1.5 million in its prime. But you're right, the only albums that were coming out with like 6 singles at the time.
That's the Michael Jackson
albums.
Yeah.
Like Bad had like 6 singles. So for them, but I think
Dangerous, that kind of stuff. But
but you know what? I think they were on MCA. And MCA was able to go ahead and do that, man. They had the juice to put those records out, and of course, God was, they were the MVPs of R&B at that time, man. The budget was really big.
But New Edition did the Heartbreak Hotel.
But again, you got to look at it at that time period. At that time period, when those guys are coming out in 90, those guys are it. They're like the marquee group. So the budget that they had was super high. Because they're not coming, their videos, they're on different locations and things of that nature, man. So it all goes back to that budget, man. So yeah. They got
that was my top 10 number one.
They got a $2 million. Their budget for recording alone was $2 million, man.
Wow.
Yeah, but the singles, as I said, the remix singles made it. So, yeah. But anyway, rock stars. Stevie, your top 10 and your number one.
Well, controversially, Dog Me Out, the album mix didn't make my top 10. Chin Beats.
I thought you did.
Chin Beats, who, if you'd have been listening properly, would have realised my number 10 is actually Yearning for Your Love / Smile. So Yearning for Your Love didn't make number one. Number 9 was Tease Me Tonight. Number 8 was The Future. Number 7, Gotta Be a Leader. Number 6, Her. Number 5, Let's Stay Together. Number 4, Teddy's Jam 2. Number 3, Do Me Right. Number 2, Wanna Get With You. And number 1, I'll tell you another great memory of this number 1 track. I remember from about, not at the time, around I can't remember the year it happened, but it was between 2007 and 2010 when some of you I kind of do mention this every other time the podcast. Before MySpace, well, before social media like Facebook, we're on forums. We used to be all on forums, chatting on forums. And I was on a music forum, njs4e.com, for several years, which was New Jack Swing Forever. And we just talk every day about New Jack Swing. It's kind of like this group we've got now, where the group, who were devoted, who'd log in every day and talk about New Jack and review albums and singles. And I don't know how we did it, but one year we decided to have an actual worldwide meetup, considering we don't even know what any of us look like. Never mind, let's all fly to one destination to actually have a meetup. But believe me, this actually happened. We had a big worldwide meetup in Amsterdam. A big shout to DJ Freeze at the time. He actually organised 2 nights where we went clubbing for 2 nights, and it was all New Jack Swing over the 2 nights. And one of my fond memories on the second night was in this like big super club. It had an upstairs and a downstairs. It was rammed out playing New Jack all night. And right at the end, they played my number 1 from the Future album. And I had a few beers with the guys, and there was me, Joe Decidal, or you might know him as VJ now. You follow him on IG, VJ. And there was Andrew Knight, and we're all together, arm in arm, beers, singing this song at the top of our voices, a bit drunk. But my number 1, it's never in doubt. It's not in doubt, is it? It's Let's Chill. Let's Chill is the standout track from the album by a 10-mile. Classic ballad. I love the video, the bit where she gets a 90 stuck in the door. I don't know. I just love it. It's just a very charming moment in the video. I don't know how many times they did that, where they retook it 10 times to get it right, or they just happened to like film it as it happened. But brilliant moment in the video, very romantic moment, and they set eyes on each other. But Let's Chill is my number 1. So there you go, guys.
That's a dope video that they had, because the video kind of like
it's my favorite video out of them.
It's great because it goes, it catches him in the element. You know, Teddy he's really consumed with the music, and then of course Damion is bowling, which is the thing that they like to do. So just very, very romantic video. Love it. Love it. Love it.
There it is
Yep.
again. Wonderful CD single.
And that's another one that, even though I bought the 12-inch record with all the remixes on there, and then I bought the cassette single, that's another one of the CD single that I wish I had bought.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nnamdi, there's 2 CD singles. The mix you was talking about earlier came out in Japan. It was a Japanese CD single with a green cover with the guys on it. They had
the white outfits. They had the green outfit. Yeah.
What was odd about this one is, and makes this collectible, is you got the album mix and you got the album instrumental, and the actual album instrumental is longer than the album mix. Don't ask me why. It's about 7 minutes. You get a 7-minute album instrumental. Again, very collectible. But
yeah, because one of those remixes, the guy is just an acoustic guitar these guys playing, and it's really, really nice. Yeah, nice choice, man. Good choice.
Let's get to your number 1, Nnamdi.
He already did his number 1.
Not me, Sheldon.
Sorry, Sheldon. Let's get to your number 1.
Okay. My number 10 is Yearning for Your Love. Number 9 is Long Gone. Number 8 is Tease Me Tonight. 7 is Dog Me Out. 6 is Gotta Be a Leader. 5 is Do Me Right. 4 is Teddy's Jam 2. 3 is Where Did the Love Go in the Future. 2 is Let's Chill. My number 1, it's 2 records. The first record we talked about endlessly.
2 records, you guys, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be 2.
I don't get you guys, man.
It's gonna be 2. Yeah, it's 2. Yeah, because it's not just a choice. The reason I have 2 is because of the impact of the record. It's not just cramming 2 in there because you like, okay, I can't decide between the 2. But obviously, the Let's Stay Together is the record. Obviously, we talked about it. You know, Aaron singing is just at another level. The production, Tammy Lucas, his vocal refrain, her counterpoint, you know, to Aaron Hall's to the chorus that he's singing. So great. So, you know, we talked about that. But then the next record is it sets the tone of the record. And when you listen to the chorus, you think the chorus is what the title is of the record, but it's not. The chorus comes from a song that was popular in New York. It was the break beats, captures the rhyme over the break beats, and it was one of the earliest albums that Lionel Richie and Commodores did. And the song is called Assembly Line. And there's a break in the record that the DJs all love, and it's almost like a work chant. It's a work chant. And what Teddy did was he sampled that work chant, and that work chant became the title. And of course, the record is Her. So on the Assembly Line record, the work chant is Her, 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 but it's Her as the title. And the reason why that's like my number 1 is because Her sets the album off really good, because you hear the whole space countdown, and then you hear the drums or whatever, and then of course the up tempo, because like you said, now the club music is really super hot, so you have that version of the club record, and then of course the remix is, you know, it comes out later on, it's really super dope. But yeah, it sets the energy for the entire album. So that's why I like both the vocals and the music. So that's why I couldn't separate both.
And you just did something there, Sheldon, that reminds me of a phrase that doesn't get used anymore, but was used a lot in the early 90s. You were dropping ballistics there, Nnamdi. Drop some ballistics on us all, mate. And I've not heard that phrase for a long, long time. I sound like that scene in Star Wars where he says to young Luke, I've not seen them Sandmen for a long time. What's he called? What's he called? That guy, the old guy.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
You've reminded me something I've not heard for a long time in these regions, in these parts. Drop the ballistics on us, Nnamdi.
That's funny. As a matter of fact, Teddy is saying that on one of those records. I think it might have been I don't know which one of the songs in the future, and then somebody starts to sing a rhyme. It might have been, I don't even want to lie, but he says that on that Future album. But yeah, that's what, because I forgot about her, and I went back and I listened to it, and it's just, Teddy's doing his thing vocally, but the energy of that record, and of course, Let's Stay Together, that's for me. I think Let's Stay Together is probably my all-time favorite song. It was a sleeper throughout that time. All the other records traded places as far as being my favorite. But 35, what we talking about? 30, was it? This is 20, 33 years later, 34 years later. Let's Stay Together is like the cream of the crop for me, Yeah.
I think Colin was asking where you could get the remixes available. There was an expanded edition that came out. It might have been last year or the year before, with a lot of the remixes on. So a lot of the mixes are available digitally if you just have a little search around on put in Amazon expanded edition of Guy the Future, should be there.
So Steve, what you got right now, that one Future cover, is that an album cover or is that a CD cover?
What's that?
When you show the Future with all the credits and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just the standard US CD.
Okay, you just had it opened up. Okay, all right.
Oh, sorry,
I thought it was an album that you had. You showed him about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's the album.
Okay, got it.
With all the
yes.
all the credits in.
Got you.
You can get that now for about £1 on Amazon, I think.
Yeah, I still have my original. Yeah, I still got my original. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Was that Baby Be Mine? Drop the Ballistics hard.
Drop the Ballistics.
Drop the Ballistics hard.
But I didn't. I didn't realize that was sampled. From the Commodores?
Yeah, back in there, like it came out like 1970, 71.
I need to go back and get my Commodore CDs off the racks.
Well, you won't find it on there because they got all the R&B, funk ballads and all that. But before they started really singing songs, they had some instrumentals. But look up Assembly Line. Go to YouTube and look up Commodore's Assembly Line and let the record play, and you're gonna hear it in the middle. And you're gonna hear that work chant that Teddy sampled. You're going to remember it from a lot of other records that you might have heard in the 90s. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was good at that. He was good at picking those, like Pete Rock. Pete Rock's great picking sound. Teddy had a little spell, didn't he, where he picks out some great samples for his records, and his mixes. But yeah, that is it. That is the Future in a nutshell. In 2 hours.
Yeah, as I said, the biggest disappointment was Damion, because of this build-up and not giving him more. Even Damion said it. He wishes. We do wonder if he had sang Let's Chill, what would have made of it. But I spoke to Aaron. Let me see what. Seeing what Corel says. But on that, then he shot the video for Let's Stay Together. He shot in the projects I grew up in. Wow. Yeah, I mean, goodness. Yeah, that's to think that Corel could have been back in the neighborhood on singing Let's Chill. But yeah, I mean, as I said, for me, it was always it was something that I wish we could have had more of Damion on the track, because maybe Teddy learned from that when he did Blackstreet, and he made sure that all the singers had a space, because if you don't have other singers on it singing, you can be held ransom by the lead singer. And so having others that can carry a song is really important.
Yeah, I think if
that's my big thing.
Yeah, I think if Damion was on the record a lot more, it would have gave the group an expanded dimension vocally, because Damion was already a force on the visual aspect of it and the choreography, and when you see his presence on DOG Me Out, the remix, it's evident, man. So you can imagine if they were able to last long enough for him to really continue to come out as a vocal force, as a visual force, because it's right on time, But he did his thing. But it would have been great to hear him sing a lot more. And of course, Let's Chill he would have been right in the pocket. So if you go back and you look at the Damion Hall solo album that comes out 3 years later, it gives you an indication of what he would have been like if he would have been singing on The Future. So anybody who hasn't heard Straight to the Point by Damion Hall, the album, if you can find it, go get it.
Wonderful album, that wonderful, highly underrated album, that. But what a wonderful album that is.
Yeah,
it's a great. Have you heard that album, Nnamdi?
Yes. And I would say, and this is me just being honest, when Damion came out with his album and when Aaron came out with The Truth, and I didn't see Teddy on any of the tracks, I kind of pushed them aside. Now, subsequently, I've gone to listen to them, but I it's one of those things where when you're such a massive Teddy fan, if he's not on it, I'm not listening. And that was back in the day. Subsequently, listening to it and being surprised and being like, okay, and hence Aaron, when he did "I Miss You" and "I Do" and all that stuff, he then kind of showed like, look, even without Teddy, I can do my thing. But at the beginning, when he did Freak You of Nasty? What was the
Don't
track?
Be Afraid. Don't Be Afraid was his first single.
No, that was off Juice. When he came out with his first album, but he came out with an up-tempo song, and his up-tempos weren't really, they were, he had Vidal, somebody producing them, and they weren't really there. So I was like, yeah, you need Teddy on these ones. But then he showcases stuff with I think it was Get a Little Freaky or something like that.
Get a Little Freaky with me, with Vidal Benson. Yeah.
So that was, so I was like, that's when I realized, yeah, man, you've not got it. But the ballads saved him. Quickly, Chim Beat says, what do we have next week? We've got a special guest next week. Stevie has been calling out for this. He was like,
get your top 10s ready. Get him, because this.
He says, let us get a top 10 Father MC. Yeah. And I was like, no top 10 Father MC. But you know what? But because
we've got the legend Father MC coming on, the legend. Get your top 10 ready.
So for those who don't know, August of 2021, my very first musical guest was Father MC. He is somebody who I just sent him a message. Hey, do you want to come on and do live? I actually wanted him he was supposed to come on next week. He's on holiday right now, so he's coming on live, and we'll use that opportunity to do a top 10 Father MC. So, but he's going to be live with us throughout the whole show. So it will be interesting to get your questions. You're going to see him on this.
Remember how you felt when you first heard "Treat Them Like They Want It"? Them vocals on that record. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, man. And then
play with my feelings.
And then when he did, even before that, when he did "Do For Me." Oh my God. I mean, when I was in the club then, I was like 21, 22. And when that record came on in the club, the DJ dropped that, man, people rushed to the dance floor, man, when they came out with "Do For Me." Of course, Mary is singing on the background vocals, man.
Yeah.
Father, man, he had some fly records, man. He had that sweet spot from 90 to 92, my man. Even though at 93 he dropped another record, man, but that's 90, 93. I
want to hit you with a 69. I mean, when that dropped, I mean, this guy who Nnamdi don't think, he had hits. The man had one hit after bang after the other. What are you talking about?
Hey, Father, as I said, when
strokes here, what you talking about, Willis? Hey? What you talking about?
Father, he was fly in the way that Heavy D was. Obviously the music was super, super dope. Yeah, man, just that sweet spot between 90 and 93, man, that dude, man, was on fire, man.
Colin says he only knows. So Colin, he has 69. He has Treat 'Em,
"Do For Me," Treat 'Em,
One Night Stand. So he had two with Casey. I had two with Jodeci.
The remix.
My God. Yeah,
And then
he had another.
and then
Yeah,
Kenny Green is still on the
everything's
record.
gonna be all right.
Yeah, he had that right.
The Soul Convention, that was there's lots.
He had a record.
We can get a 10 there, or a top 5.
He had a record that he had a record that Kenny sang on the hook.
Yeah,
all I wanna do is that record.
Yeah.
He's sampling. I want to thank you by I'm just drawing a brain fart, but yeah, he's sampling the.
Can you get a top 10 together, Sheldon? Do you think you can get a top 10?
He says
Alicia Myers close to you, close to you. Alicia Myers, thank you, Chad.
Can you get a top
and he's
together, Sheldon?
I'm sorry.
Can you get a Father MC top 10 together for next week?
Yeah.
Can you, Nnamdi?
Yeah.
Do you want me to send you some of the albums just to?
Okay, just to, yeah. So if you do that, would be great. But he's going to be the guest, so it'll be good to be able to as we go because his number one track because I've asked him that when I first interviewed him was I'll never forget this. I said, so what's your number one track, your favorite track? And he was like, One Night Stand. And I'm like, I can't remember it. I was doing a blank. And he says, yeah, One Night Stand.
He's using the same. Yeah, right. He's using the same.
Produced by Eddie F. So as he was singing it, I was like, yeah. One Night Stand. I had no idea because because as I said, this was my first guest. It's not like now where I'm interviewing the track, but then I was like, yeah. I was just like, yo, yeah. When I was singing, I'll play the clip because it shows me just singing along. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm singing, but it sounds like it's like this. But he said it was Eddie F. That's his favorite track with Mary and stuff like that. But as I said, he's been. And Stevie asked me, ask Father if he knows this remix, stuff, and I sent it to him. Within seconds, he said, no, I haven't heard it. Can you send me it? And I said, no, we don't have it. We just wanted to see if you had it. So as I said, he's ready for it. So he's going to be live next week. He's going to be out here. And so get your questions and we'll have fun. He's going to be in the studio. He's probably produced he did some stuff with Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, she's got to get some. When Ray Parker Jr. went to MCA Records for an album, Father was on it. Yeah.
He did 3. Yeah. He's on 3. I looked at the album the other day. He's on 3 tracks on the album on Ray. It could have been the album could have been Ray Parker Jr. featuring Father MC because he's all over it.
And when you see
he's
go ahead, Nnamdi.
No, go ahead. I was going to say he's producing now. He's just constantly producing. But you were going to say
he's done loads of stuff.
When if you ever go back and you watch that video, you can see the difference between like the young and the old. Like, okay, we're us. Like I'm in my 50s and you guys got to be like in your 40s, right? So when Ray Parker Jr. puts that record out, Ray Parker Jr. is like 36 years old, right? 36 now, we look at 36 as young. And Father's got to be probably at the time when that record comes out, 24, 25, about 10 years younger, maybe a little 13 years younger. But you see the difference between the old and the new. And it's when you see it, it's just like it shows you how fast music was changing, in terms of that. The song was dope, man. Father just brought the whole flavor, the swagger to the record. He was the man.
I didn't know. I didn't know, but they banned that video. Got banned, didn't it? She needs to get. They banned it on.
Which one?
She needs to get some.
Wow. Oh yeah, because the lyrical content.
Yeah, something about they thought it was to do with domestic abuse to women, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a stretch. But I think the video itself is probably what they were going off of. But nah, man, that was dope. But
that reminds me, this in terms of Damion Hall, there is a couple of videos put up on YouTube in the last few weeks of Damion Hall performing a few straight to the point tracks in a TV studio. I can't remember the channel. And yeah, Father MC, she needs to get some. The video is on YouTube somewhere to watch. If you didn't see it at the time, because I didn't. I never saw it at the time. Thanks to YouTube, I'm seeing it. And Nnamdi, it's about time we leave the listeners wanting more. It's that time, isn't it? If we're getting to that time now, we should be leaving the listeners wanting more.
So when you see things like this, because the Uptown Unplugged stuff was and Father performed on that, but as you mentioned, because Mary and Jodeci and Christopher Williams, it just, I mean, that's how powerful Uptown was. Even Heavy D performed, and you forget, you only remember the Jodeci, the whole Lately, and Christopher Williams, All I See and stuff, and Mary. So yeah, Father MC. So we're going to be able to talk to him about a lot of those things next week, and you guys can bring that up as well. But definitely, yeah. So definitely, we'll see you guys next week. Yeah, I'm going to try to get Chucky to help me get Ray Parker Jr. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff happening. So, but yeah, Father MC next week. Thanks again, you guys, for taking part. We've been here for 2 hours, so we can't wait to bring you Father MC next week. And for those who came late, this is our, last week was our 1 year anniversary. We started April last year. This is episode 30, so we've really been taking it from one step to another, but with you guys supporting us, it's been really helping us through things. So we appreciate it. Stevie, Sheldon, any final words before we go?
Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in tonight, as always. Thank you very much. And to anybody who listens after in the subsequent weeks, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your support. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening and watching.
Yeah.